If you're looking for a perfect everyday bag that is light, durable, versatile, and hip for the summer, don't miss out on the newest addition to the Knack Bag family of products, the Knack Sling Bag.
Yes, in a season full of ugly bucket hats, bootleg t-shirts, and board shorts, the Knack Sling Bag will make you the talk of the beach. It's everything you need in a fanny pack, but improved in a million different ways. It's lightweight, endlessly expandable, and stylish as all get out. Yes, indeed, the Knack Sling Bag is the perfect companion for every adventure.
Check out the link in the description to order yours with free shipping on all orders. Thanks to our friends at Knack for sponsoring this episode. If you get a Knack bag, don't forget to post it on social and tag us at ETB Sports. We want to see you enjoying your Knack bag.
This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
Like Nick said and I suggested, you could have them do the home run derby. You could have a ceremony for them pregame. You don't need them to play in the game.
Nick Morgeson. A certain suspension might be on the way. And if it does, and if you go on my social media, and Tom saw it when I wrote it out, that there's going to be a fire episode in the wings. And Nick Federa.
Yes, that is the equivalent of saying, you know, Charles Manson is really not a good babysitter, but you know what? Who's actually better? Blackbeard.
Empty the Bench starts now. I broke Nick. Yes. I win.
Woo! You're going to relish in that forever and ever now, aren't you?
You're welcome.
The day he dies.
All right.
You're welcome.
This is episode 144 of Empty the Bench. I'm Tom Albano along with Nick Federa and Nick Borgeson as always. And gentlemen, we got a lot we got to run through, so I'm ready to just dive right in. Obviously, we've just had All-Star Weekend. We got baseball to talk about, including a commissioner, opening his mouth and inserting his own foot. We got, we also have a whole bunch of Deshaun Watson news that has basically broken within the last 24 hours because, of course, and it has kind of ruined my whole perception of this lawsuit part of it. Also, the NBA, because more Donovan Mitchell talking with the Knicks and the Jazz, and all of this Lakers drama. But we're gonna have to begin with the one and only Juan Soto. Obviously, he is a very big talking point in the sports world right now. For instance, you do have Juan Soto winning the home run derby, which is great. However, the bigger story is that he turned down a 15-year, $440 million extension offer. Yes, I said 15 years and $440 million. So if it isn't clear enough, he wants no part of Washington anymore, and he does not think they can build a team around him. So he's saying, I'm going to a contender.
Let's put it this way. It's basically a no confidence vote, as Tom said in his ETB minute over the last week. I don't understand, but I get it. The Nationals, won the World Series in 2019. That was the last time they won the World Series.
Yeah,
And now the team looks like scrambled eggs on a sidewalk on a hot summer day. I mean, it's pretty much...
That's an understatement.
So my point is, I don't blame Juan Soto, but we're going to go through this again, like we did with KD, with the Nets. We're asking out 2.5 years before you hit free agency. We have this problem all over again.
Well, I think this is a different case because Durant was the case of a superstar. Somebody who was already a superstar heading over to another team through free agency. Juan Soto came up in the system. Juan Soto helped win them that 2019 World Series in his very first year. Not even a full year.
He was the reason why they
come up. He had just come up.
He was the reason why they felt good letting Bryce Harper walk to the Phillies.
All right, but that's a little bit of luck, in my opinion. I mean, Bryce Harper got the big contract.
But Juan Soto, for his efforts, does deserve to get paid. And rightfully, he feels like he should be paid now.
Okay, but turning down $440 million, the biggest contract... Wait a minute. The biggest contract in MLB history, bigger than A-Rod's contract?
And you know what? I respect him for it.
I don't.
I do, because he wants to go to a contender. He does not want to happen to him what happened to Bryce Harper, where he's stuck, millions and millions of dollars, one of the highest paid players in the sport, and he isn't competing on a championship team. Same goes for Mike Trout. I'm going to double down a claim, guys. Remember we were talking about Judge weeks ago, having this little fight, and I said, you know what, Mike Trout and Bryce Harper kind of ruined baseball a little bit. I'm going to double down on that. I think they've ruined the game. And they've ruined it. That's why you're seeing guys chase after the money more, because those two set the precedent.
I mean, don't throw tomatoes at me, but I think Mike Trout is a bust.
I don't go as far as say a bust. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, but
yeah, he's going to. Yeah, it's like. But
unless he gets traded, I will give you that. Unless he gets traded, he's going to win 0 world championships.
Well,
yeah, he's going to do amazing things, but no one's ever going to hear about it outside of Los Angeles.
Okay, but Nick, my point is, Derek Jeter's in the Hall of Fame. He has 3,000 hits. And by the way, if you missed the first night of the captain, it's really good. Go watch it. He was in the Hall of Fame not only because he got hits, he won 4 World Series titles. 5. And has the clutch gene, going out there and winning. What does Mike Trout have? He hasn't even been to a World Series.
Because he's never gotten the chance, but because baseball is not a one-man sport.
Correct. No, he's actually correct. And, well, we're going to touch on the Angels in just a little bit over some new rumors that have been developing as of late. But, again, I kind of respect Juan Soto for doing this, because he's saying it's not all about the money. Now, you are correct. Will this actually come to fruition, a trade? It seems like it has to, because if you're turning down this, then what's it going to take from this organization? However, you do bring up a point with KD, with the KD comparison, that what are the Nationals going to ask for? Because they're going to ask for a lot. I would assume they have to ask for major league ready talents and top prospects in the system.
Well, according to the Nationals in a report, they don't want low A or single A guys. They want
guys right now.
They want triple A and above. That's what they want.
Yeah, and the sound you're hearing in the background right now, just very faintly, is the sound of every single baseball executive that's not in the Nationals simultaneously salivating and shitting themselves in fear.
The other thing is that people are not realizing. I saw Buster Olney, who was reported for the All-Star game. He said he spoke to a good percentage of the executives around Major League Baseball. They said that they think Juan Soto is going to be traded by August 2nd.
It's a real possibility, but
it is.
But there has to come a caveat with a team trading AAA and MLB guys. You have to be able to negotiate with Juan Soto. You're not going to make this trade and then just only have his controllable years on his rookie deal like he has now. You're going to have to you're going to want the ability to talk to him on an extension.
No, I don't know what the rules are. I know the NFL is different because they have rules for having an exclusive negotiating window. I don't know how that works in baseball. But at the same time, Juan Soto is the biggest star in the game, would you say, right now? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, he's one of them, definitely. And I mean, in terms of I'm inclined to, because of course the Yankees and Aaron Judge haven't gotten to the negotiating table yet. I'm inclined to say at this point, hate the game, not the player. But I think there's another factor in this that a lot of people haven't considered yet, and that is the Lerner family is thinking of selling the team. And would you really want to depreciate the value of your team that much when you're about to trade away the last the 23-year-old superstar? But you don't want the Nets to be sold for pennies on the dollar because you got rid of Soto before you absolutely needed to.
Let's be fair. Most owners, you have to pry their teams away out of their hands if they're going to sell.
I think they'll wait, though. I don't know. I don't think they'll have the balls to do it.
But couldn't you argue that this turning down of a 15-year, $440 million offer is that you absolutely have to, because it seems like Soto has no intention of staying in Washington.
He's gunning for 500. That's why he wants to be
the
first $500 million man.
Nick, because he wants to be on a contender.
Well, actually, I think Nick is partially right. He wants to be the first $50 million a year player, which is going to happen at some point. We're already having problems with getting butts in seats, as Nick says, because the tickets are impossible to be afforded. But the one thing I was going to say, there is a little bit of speculation out there, and I read this in a few places, that purposely the Nationals leaked this offer of 15 years, $440 million, because they're trying to perceive or have a perception of the public that they made a big offer and that Juan Soto rejected, so that his trade value is higher.
They're trying to kneecap him, meaning that. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, that's the relationship with the teams and the players these days.
Yeah, but I would say MLB is more an owners league than a by any stretch.
Oh no, you're right.
But the fact that you can go from persona non to a most valued asset, and we care about you more than anybody, to basically persona non grata in the snap of a time it takes to snap a finger is just, it's beyond me. But you know what? This is, like I said before, it's hate the game, don't hate the player.
Now,
yeah, but at the same time, I'm tired of this situation person trying to lead your team down into free agent. You sign a deal, you play it out, and if you want to go to free agent. Why you sign the deal then for all the money?
Nick?
Yeah.
No, I think we're having some difficulty.
You can't hear me?
Can now, but you're frozen.
All right. Anyway, I mean, I just think again, Juan Soto has he has a reason to want to be paid now. I think he has no intention of staying with the Nationals. I think this point now that there's no way he can stay. Now, is a deal going to get done by August 2nd? I think it's a little close.
I don't know.
I see it a possibility with the right team, but it's a little close.
But which team are we going to
have to empty out your entire farm system to get him?
And by the way, every Yankee fan who's out there being delusional on social media saying the Yankees should empty their farm system for Juan Soto is nuts.
No, because let me explain why.
That you don't think they're nuts, or that they won't do it.
Time. That okay? We can get him, but that means Volpe, bye. Dominguez, bye. Actually, you could even throw in the second shortstop,
the Peraza.
See ya. Top minor league pitcher, 1 or 2. Bye.
You're pretty much throwing your farm system away to make a deal.
You are saying
everybody. Saw the Futures game this weekend. Yeah.
No, some people are calling me a little nuts for saying it's basically an all or nothing year with the Yankees, considering what might happen with Judge. But if you throw a farm system out like that for Juan Soto, it really is then all or nothing.
It lights a fire, and it lights even bigger of a fire under your ass to try and get something now.
Now, you guys are going to kill me for saying this as Yankee fans, but there is one team that I think is capable of getting Soto, willing to give up the farm by August 2nd.
What are you going to say, the Mets?
Yes.
See, I don't know if they would trade him within the division, though.
Well,
I understand, but you know what? But it's not going to be too much of a big deal to what's his name over there. You know why?
What, Steve Cohen?
Yep, they have money.
Yeah, but here's the issue.
Yes, Steve Cohen is absolutely crazy enough to give him everything he wants. But are the Nats going to pull the trigger on an interdivision trade where you'll have to see Juan Soto and he'll be hitting bombs against you for the next 10 to 15, maybe even 20 years?
Well, that's what I said. I don't think they're going to trade in division. It's just one of those things where you're just like, do I really want to see this guy destroying me for a full contract? But just the Mets would have to give up their top catching prospect, whatever his name is. I can't remember what it is.
Francisco Alvarez, I think.
Yeah, I think that's who it is. They would have to give him up.
Well, I mean, they just drafted 2 catchers, so why?
Yeah, but you're not going to see those catchers for 5 to 6 years at least.
I mean, do they really? They really think that? See, I don't know if because I think Steve Cohen is a lot more driven to win right now, and he doesn't care about the future.
I agree.
Than say Brian Cashman does, because Brian Cashman really doesn't care. I mean, not that he doesn't care that the Yankees win, but he's capable of thinking 5 to 10 years down the road. Well, because odds are he'll probably be there.
Well, wait a minute.
No, sorry. I was going to add a qualifier. Sometimes to his own detriment.
Yes, sometimes to his own detriment that he prospect hugs. But with Steve Cohen, because he spent so much money, because he positions himself as the guy who rode in on a white horse to save the Mets from oblivion, he's got to justify the money he spent in getting Scherzer and getting who else did he spend a shit ton of money on? Oh, Lindor.
Yeah, but here's the problem. The problem is, so you have an owner that's drunk with money. Okay, that's your one issue. Okay, so that's not always a good thing because he's going to overspend on guys that's going to completely destroy you in the process, and then you're locked in on. Let's see. I can think of somebody who played in the All-Star game that the Yankees have that they're stuck under with a contract in the outfield.
But the difference is, John, what he's doing now, what he's able to do now, they're not thinking about. Again, they're paying him for these years, because the end of that contract is the price you pay to get what you're getting out of him now.
And that's the problem. That's why you're no longer seeing 10-year contracts. Unless you're someone like Juan Soto, who's 23 years old.
So is it the years he's after, or is it the AAV he's really after?
No, he's after the AAV. He wants the $50 million a year.
So you can do a shorter term contract with a higher AAV.
Yeah, but he's 23 years old. He wants security.
So, but which is it? You just contradicted yourself.
No, he wants the money, but he wants the years too. Let's put it this way: Scott Boras is involved here. Okay. That's your problem.
No, that's a good point.
I was going to say, and that is the other caveat to this last point before we leave. Scott Boras is also involved in this. So if it was a Scott Boras, another reason why I think the Yankees should maybe not do this, because then you're also dealing with Scott Boras, and you don't think he would haggle the Yankees to try and get an even bigger offer than the Nats throughout? First
of all, when Scott Boras doesn't even blink at a 15-year, $440 million deal, what does that tell you?
Of course he's not. Are you kidding? He's probably so happy he shit himself in joy. But imagine how much of that he gets in commission.
I watched a CNBC documentary on Scott Boras. They did a whole thing on him. He gets 4% of every contract that he gets signed.
So he's gonna get what for? What is that like? I'm not a mathematician, so what's that?
Wait, what's the?
4% of 440 million. Let's just put it this way:
it's like 4.4 million, isn't it?
10%?
No, 4% of 440 million.
That's about $17.5 million.
So he makes a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. So my point is, and I think Nick was right before where he said that Juan Soto is probably, the market is probably going to start at 10 years, 500 million. 500 million. Half a billion dollars.
But again, somebody's going to be crazy enough to pay him that he's going to be seeing dollar signs in his eyes, and he's going to be crapping out nickels for the next decade.
And again, I disagree. I think he would take this kind of money, if not a little less, just to go to a championship contender. I think he wants to win.
So let me ask you a question. If the Yankees came by, let's say that the Yankees said, okay, but all things are out. We're willing to trade the farm, blah, 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 whatever. But they say we're only willing to give you a 10-year, $300 million deal. Do you think that he considers that being a huge contender?
You mean he would take a contender discount?
I'm just asking because you said he wants to play for a contender.
No, that's a fair point. It's like, I don't know how to answer that question.
Listen, I just mean you're not going to see a team like the Angels come after him.
First of all, he's not going to LA. I don't think he wants to go to LA.
No. Listen, 10 years, $300 million. I mean, at the very least, though, he's only 23. By the time he'll be 33 by the time that contract expires. I'd do that contract.
He can go get another 4 or 5 years.
The Giants might be crazy enough to do it.
Wait a minute. He can go get another 4 or 5 year contract after that.
Exactly.
We're making it sound like Juan Soto's 30 years old. And people are making this comparison. Like, Tom, you were saying this last week, that the whole Aaron Judge thing, that if the Yankees went out and got Juan Soto, that's calling the bluff of Aaron Judge if he walks away. He's 8 years younger.
Right. But it would be a great chip after the Yankees' leverage is kind of slipping ever since Judge is having this MVP season. But the problem is, in the Yankees' case, then you're giving up all those top prospects that you love so much. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
No. So I'm not saying the deal should be made. I'm just saying that you could technically call Judge's bluff and say, look, we have someone 8 years younger who's already doing way more than you were at that age of 23.
Again, you're on the right track. But for the Yankees' sake, in terms of their mission for right now and, the whole Judge thing and their prospects, they need to pray that Soto stays with the Nationals for the rest of the season. And will that happen? There's a chance, but I don't know. Like Nick Federa is implying, if the right team came along, and I think one of those right teams is the team right across town, they do it.
I just think the Nats would be crazy if they traded him in division, especially. I think that'd be crazy.
They would be crazy, but c'est la vie. That's what it is.
All right. Speaking of crazy, speaking of money, Rob Manfred, open mouth, insert foot. So earlier in the week, MLB came to a settlement over a lawsuit with its minor league players, going on a $185 million to minor leaguers, and then it was split up a whole bunch, right?
Because it's a class action suit.
Yeah, so the players got $120 million. I think the rest went to lawyer fees, if I'm not mistaken.
The rest goes to legal fees. But yeah, this was I did a minute on it last. When did I do that?
Last week.
I did it last week, and it was started by two former minor leaguers, and it's really a good thing. It really is, because it's been well documented. We've talked about it a lot on the show about how the life of a minor league baseball player, even a top-ranked prospect, is not really that good, because $15,000 a year. Most people in good jobs, not great jobs, make twice that.
So I have the numbers per week for rookie ball, single A, double A, and triple A. Okay. Rookie ball, $400 per week. Previously was $290. Single A, $500 per week. Originally $290. Double A, $600 per week. Originally $350. Triple A, $700 per week. Originally $502.
Yeah, and I know you're talking about top prospects, but guys, remember something. By the time Double A, Triple A comes, these top prospects do get the 40-man roster. They get treated a little better with, the major league. But we need to talk about the lower of the low players. The guys.
Yeah, you're high A, you're low A, you're
rookie, right?
But can we say one more thing? Go ahead.
No, but you remember, like 2019, we were doing a little comparison because I was working multiple jobs at that time, and we did a little comparison. I said, hey, wait a minute. I make as much in 1 week with my jobs as a minor leaguer does.
That's what's so crazy about this whole thing. And I'm looking at some of the other statistics as they compare it to other leagues. So the NBA G League players make $38,000 per season.
$38,000 per season.
The NFL practice squad players make $9,200 per week. And the AHL players make $51,000 per season.
The AHL and the NHL does not make the kind of revenue that the other sports do in this country. That's what's so stupefying about it all.
And I'll give you one more technicality. 4 years ago, MLB successfully lobbied Congress to pass the Save America's Pastime Act, allowing teams to treat minor league players as seasonal workers and thus pay them below minimum wage. Minor league players and coaches are paid by the MLB parent teams, not their minor league affiliate. Let's put it this way. It's a loophole.
And Rob Manfred.
And along comes Mr. Manfred. You know what? Bring it up. Where's that lower third? I want to see it.
What?
You want to see? You want it? There you go.
There it is. Good old Rob Manfred. He was directly quoted. I think Molly Rivera asked him this question.
I think so. But since we're bringing this one up, so that's my thoughts on Rob Manfred.
So he says, is it do you feel bad at all? I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, do you think that it's the $10,000 that they should be paid a living wage? And of course he says I dispute the fact that $10,000 is not a living wage, which to a man that makes $17 million a year.
You're talking about the quote where he rejects the premise, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he rejects the premise.
I have it here, and I think I put it in here. So he said, quote, I kind of reject the premise of the question that minor league players are not paid a living wage. Quote, I think that we've made real strides in the last few years in terms of what minor league players are paid, even putting to one side the signing bonuses that many of them received. They've received housing, which is obviously another form of compensation. So I just reject the premise of the question. I reject the premise that they are not paid a living wage. Are you kidding me?
And a man that makes $17 million carrying water for... You know what this is? He is scared shitless that the MLB might lose its antitrust exemption.
Actually, hold on. I do have a thing here from... There's this thing called the Advocates for Minor Leaguers, which actually gave a response to Manfred's.
They wrote a letter to Manfred.
It says most minor league baseball players work second jobs because their annual salaries are insufficient to make ends meet. The commissioner makes an annual salary of $17.5 million. His suggestion that minor league pay is acceptable is both callous and false.
Well, let me throw one more point out there, just to go through the other leagues. Did you see what salary Roger Goodell makes as the NFL commissioner?
No.
Close to 40
million.
40 million. Okay. And we're talking about, he tried to renegotiate to a point where he wanted private jets.
Jet, yeah, I remember that.
And you know what? These commissioners are so worried about themselves. They don't give two shits about what these guys are doing, scratching and clawing in the minor leagues. Now, I'm going to spoil something if you haven't watched the first episode of The Captain. But Jeter, his first meal was what?
McDonald's.
Okay, and that's what minor leaguers are dealing with. They're going to McDonald's. They're going to Taco Bell. They can't afford a nice meal. The only time minor leaguers get nice meals is when
the high draft
leaguers are rehabbing.
Paid. Yeah.
That's my point. The money is not there. Rob Manfred doesn't understand what it's like to be a low wage lackey.
But again. And the owners are exactly they agree with him. If anything, they think the baseball would be so great if we didn't have all those poors watching it. And I need to rant here for a second, guys. So just clear a little bit of space on both ends. So
I'm just gonna give you the whole stage. Why not,
ladies and gentlemen? To see him say this on this is the All-Star Week. And to see him say this, it's not only is it asinine, it's absurd and it's infuriating because he is the absolute worst representative that Major League Baseball could have right now. He sucks worse than Bud Selig did, and you gotta try. You have to try to suck that bad because you know what? All-Star Weekend, everybody loves All-Star Weekend. It's really one of those magical times where you realize, you know what? God damn, I love baseball. And god damn, I do love baseball. I hate Rob Manfred. He sucks. I hate what he's become. I hate what he's turned the game into.
Wow, that was pretty good. And by the way, I was saying to Nick before I think this was a couple hours ago, like I was being sarcastic when I said that you really have to try hard to destroy Bud Selig's reputation. to be the worst commissioner in all of sports. Bud Selig did some really asinine things, and Rob Manfred has just zoomed past that here, there, and far.
And I'm sorry, but some of these things that like Rob Manfred has said in the past couple of weeks, quote, the assertion that I hate the game, that one does rub me the wrong way. I have to tell you the truth. And saying that when you acknowledge there's something wrong with the game, that turns you into a hater of baseball. No, Rob, no.
You love baseball. That's why you want to fix it, you dopey fuck.
Well, wait a minute. Now he's talking about how he wants to get rid of blackouts on TV. That's your main problem?
That's the problem here?
Wait a minute. That's what you're dealing with as a sport? You have
maybe the fact that the A's and Reds are fleecing their own fan base and crying poverty because they can't get a goddamn stadium that the owners can pay for.
And I'm glad you brought that up about the A's, because there was another story. I sent it to you guys. I don't know if you saw it in our chat about Paul Blackburn.
That he had to ride with the Astros because the A's were going to make him fly
commercial to get to L.A.
The dopey fucks in the Oakland Athletics ownership organization that were making their guy who made the All-Star game, okay? And they said, you know what? We're too cheap. Go fly commercial.
You know what? I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. Just contract the A's.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll be a 29 baseball team. Well, I'm fine with that.
Well, wait a minute. And Rob was complaining. I'm sure you saw this the other day. That he's like, well, you guys need to come to a deal on a new stadium already. Well, hey, Rob, are you paying up for part of it?
Who the heck? Again, who's got the ear of the A's owner? You do, dipshit.
Let's put it this way. Rob Manfred is going to destroy the sport and make it tunnel a hole into China before we figure out how it goes back.
Look, let's face it. I mean, let's face it with the A's. You know why they're doing this. They're just doing this to get to Las Vegas.
But the A's, and the sick part about this is the A's are not a bad organization. And I'm talking about from a player standpoint. The ownership is a whole different issue because they're trying to be as cheap as possible. If you remember when we talked about MLB free agency in the offseason, how much money did the A's spend?
Nothing.
Zero.
A big fat zero. Zero.
So what does that tell you as an organization? Rob Manfred is not holding anybody accountable for the owners at all.
Again, it is more likely that I am going to discover a theorem that makes time travel possible before Rob Manfred actually gets his head out of his ass and does something good for this goddamn sport.
I'll say the numbers again, okay? NBA G League players, $38,000 per season. NFL practice squad players, $92,000 per week. And the AHL, $51,000 a week.
It's stupefying, isn't it? You almost want to back away. It's like it takes your breath away. It really does.
I'll give you one more. The MLB minor leagues play the most games out of all those.
Oh, God. It's just so stupid. It's just
so the NFL practice squad, they only have to play the 17 games, and they're still making almost $10,000 a game. I don't know. Rob Manfred, I think, is just, I don't know. Like, do we have our big board of where we see our commissioners right now?
Oh, he is
far at the bottom.
If this was a horse race, he'd be in the lead by 3 or 4 furlongs at this point.
Here's the deal. I would actually put him officially at the bottom.
I agree. You know what? I want to stop this segment, and honestly, I know the best way to finish it. Why not?
I mean, poor K baseball.
All right. One other thing we want to get into. Actually, several things we got to get into left with baseball. Small things, though. Well, this one ain't. Shohei Ohtani. Even he is now in the rumors about trades. So Shohei Ohtani was doing media at the All-Star weekend, and he was asked about his future, asked about the Angels. Of course, as we referenced before, even with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, the Angels just seem to never be able to do anything, including making the playoffs. And Shohei Ohtani says he told Dylan Hernandez of the LA Times, "It doesn't really change what I do. As long as I'm with the Angels, I want to do my job the best I can. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but like I said, I'd like to focus game by game on what I have to do, pitching and hitting." And he says he was mum on the idea of leaving the Angels. "More than my feelings, that will be determined by what the organization wants to do. When it comes to something I can't control, I don't really have any feelings about what I want."
So I look at it this way.
You ever heard that song by the Hives, by the way? And I'll sing a little bit for you. "Hate to say I told you so."
I was going to put it this way, Nick, and you'll enjoy this one too. I would call this the Artie Moreno clause, which basically no one gets anything they want in the Angels organization. And if you remember during COVID, do you remember the Angels were on that list of teams that were complaining about the money?
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? You sign Albert Pujols, you eat the last 3 years of that contract. You have Shohei Ohtani, who you just signed. I mean, you have Randone, who you signed to a massive contract and is hurt, and he's going to be suspended the first 5 or 6 games of next season.
And my dear friends, the two of you, therein lies the joke. Therein lies the insult of the joke. In that the Angels have 2 generational talents playing on their team, and yet they will do a sum total of dick in the playoffs as long as the Angels keep doing what they're doing. And Artie Moreno, he just seems to skate along. Just wake up in the morning, drink his coffee, and then just I don't know what you do. Sit naked in the bathtub eating bonbons.
You mean that's what Goodell does, but anyways, I'm just saying. So Shohei Ohtani, he is a free agent after 2023. Mike Trout with his contract. We're talking about with all the different talents. So the rumor is now that potentially maybe the Angels are exploring yet another possible rebuild, which would require Shohei Ohtani, maybe even Mike Trout, they would have to part ways with those two.
You can't part ways with Mike Trout. His contract's too big.
It's been 20 years since the 20 years this year since the Angels last
made the World Series. Yeah.
Last made the World Series and won it. They have been through 3-4 rebuilds in that time.
I was going to say though, they don't have a problem making the playoffs. They've done that many times. They just can't get any further.
They've only done it once with Trout.
No, but I guess over the years. But my point is, Mike Trout's contract, he just literally signed that, a year or 2 ago?
Trade him to Philly. Let him and Harper be big bat contracts.
I'm going to warn you now, the Angels played themselves with that contract. They did. They played themselves.
Mike Trout played himself.
Mike
the Angels
Trout
got what they wanted.
You guys have proven my point about these guys.
But wait a second. Why are the Angels playing themselves? Mike Trout had a sign on the dotted line too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He played himself.
You just said the Angels have to play themselves. We just said Mike Trout did.
Oh, I don't. Well,
Mike Trout. Yeah, I tell you guys, Mike Trout and Bryce Harper did as much to hurt this game as they did to help it.
Well, because of the large contracts you're talking about, right?
They went after the money. Mike Trout chose money over championships. He did not have to sign that. He was a free agent. He did not have to sign that contract.
Well, I would go one step further and say A-Rod was really the one that started that whole thing with picking money over championships. To be fair,
he won a World Series. The Yankees constantly got to the playoffs while he was there.
No, I get that, but I'm saying you were saying that Trout was the one that started the money heist. I would say A-Rod was.
Were the Rangers really competing when they signed him? I
know
they thought they would, but it really doesn't seem like it really doesn't seem like they were when they signed. When did they sign him?
2001.
2001. Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about the Yankees played themselves when they made that deal and they lost the deferred money from the Texas Rangers.
Again,
there is a difference between the Yankees of the 2000s and the Angels of now.
Well, first of all,
big difference.
I don't know what Shohei Ohtani's problem is. Like, he chose, let me say that again. He chose to be with the Angels in Los Angeles. He could have gone anywhere. So
now you are right on that end. But Shohei Ohtani right now is one of the faces. He is even, I would say, Trump Trout as the face of the organization.
I agree with you because Trout
he really does.
Because Trout is injury prone, and it can't be denied. He's been hurt, and he's on the IL again as we speak.
Now, let me ask you two Yankee fans. We just talked about Soto. Would you move any minor league prospects to get Shohei Ohtani?
In a fucking heartbeat.
Yes, and I agree. And honestly, because Shohei Ohtani, he is another pitcher that you can have, another arm. His hitting is great. Honestly, in terms of marketing and about base arguing about Judge with his hotness and Cole with him having the contract, I think Shohei Ohtani becomes the face of your team rather than those two.
Look what having Hideki Matsui did opened up an entirely new generation of Yankee fans coming.
Yeah,
from
you get that market as well.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say from that standpoint, marketing is not an issue. I still think you're going to have an issue from the standpoint of traditional baseball with the Yankees if they're going to allow him to do both the pitching and the hitting at the clip that he's doing. If
they were smart, they would. But again, we're all talking hypotheticals.
First of all,
we don't know what he's going to do.
Correct. And also, even a trade for Ohtani, like right now, I don't think would cost as much. It could not cost as much as it would to get Soto.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think, well, no, because I think the value is twofold because Ohtani can pitch and he can hit. So I think
it would be asking for even more.
I think they've been asking for more because you can put him in any spot at any point to help you. But I don't know. First of all, the Angels are not letting him go. So
that's a good poll question, by the way.
Yeah,
who would cost more?
That is a good poll question.
Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani?
We should put that up there. We will. But my point is, Shohei Ohtani should not be speaking anything. Shohei should be focusing on
fairness,
winning.
He was asked.
Yeah, he was asked the question. So
and he did his best to walk around it.
And the media are a bunch of dumb fucks, but we seem to let it go.
They do the same thing when they ask Judge about his contract. So
well, and the whole ESPN, and usually I'm not a burner on ESPN, but ESPN went way overboard. Just kept asking Soto the question a million times.
I feel really bad for him having to, because he's in such an awkward position because he's supposed to be celebrating the representative of Nats baseball.
And the other weird part, so when Soto receives the trophy at the end and Buster Olney goes up to interview him and they put the large necklace around him with the jewelry on it and also the big double bat cross trophy.
Yeah.
And then Buster Olney at the end of the interview says, "Oh, do you mind addressing what the trade rumors?" And Juan Soto, I think with the best is, says, "I'm not worried about this. I'm in a Nationals uniform." See, he handled that right.
Yes. You're right.
But ESPN was way overboard trying to get
the one funny thing I did get out of that from all his media day stuff with the trade rumors. I did like on how MLB Network, how David Ortiz, they had the money gun and was putting it.
Yeah.
That was funny. On him. That was funny when Pete Alonso said, "Is this real?" That was good.
Oh, God.
By the way, I want to mention one more thing because I see it as a banner right below.
Oh, I moved it up there.
Can we mention, as ironic, because we were talking about Trout before, that as Mike Trout goes on the IL, he announces that he's the first guy on the World Baseball Classic roster for the U.S. and is going to be the captain in 2023.
We're still doing the World Baseball Classic? That's still a thing?
They are bringing it back.
Every 4 years.
They lost the last one because of COVID, so this is the opportunity to get it back. And honestly, you want my honest opinion? You know why he's doing this? Again,
to prove himself?
He knows he can't win anything with the Angels.
So you might as well win.
That was like the weirdest moment back when Jeter was still playing, when Team USA was playing the Yankees. That was like the most awkward thing. This is the same thing. Watch, Team USA is going to play the Angels in spring training that year, and it's going to be awkward because he's going to be in a Team USA uniform. Hi, hit 3 home runs against you.
I hope that's mentioned on the captain, how he had to play on Team USA.
Against the Yankees, I remember that.
First of all, I just think the World Baseball Classic is a crapshoot. I could care less. No, you know what that means? Extended spring training. Oh boy.
Yeah, well, you know what? Blame the Olympic Committee all those years ago when they took baseball out of the Olympics, the dumb fucks.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of blame. Because that's the thing about baseball. When things go wrong, there's no shortage of stooges to blame when things go wrong.
No, I'll tell you who to blame. There you go.
Ta-da! And he shows up plated in gold like a giant Oscar.
I mean, it's true. I mean, this sport is a giant train wreck. Can we just pick up Rob Manfred? Nah, I can't even speak. Can we pick up Rob Manfred and throw him down a hole and hope he never comes out?
We should take Rob Manfred and push him somewhere else.
Is it weird that I kind of I'm morbidly curious about what Roger Goodell would do as a commissioner of baseball?
I'll have Roger and Rob switch sports for the season.
You know what the other thing is? Since
football needs to be taken down a couple pegs.
Since we're speaking quickly about SpongeBob references and Rob Manfred makes me think of that one reference where they're climbing up the mountain. I say we're only halfway there. Halfway there. Like that's Rob Manfred. He's just like halfway there to everything, even though he's not going to finish it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of half, the Royals had basically half of their team stuck in the United States the other day.
I walked right into that one.
That was a transition for the ages. Take a
By the way,
take a bow, my boy.
By the way, there's no royal treatment going on here.
You have to put no. Your pun does not top my transition. It does not work like that.
That reminds me. Wait, that reminds me of that song. It's gonna be royal. Oh God.
Well, that song came out not long before the Royals did end up going to the World Series. But however, the Royals are in a much different place, and they had about half of their team stuck in the United States when they went to Toronto to play the Blue Jays, including Andrew Benintendi and Michael Taylor, two people who are, let's say, top trade targets. Well, were top trade targets, at least on the American League East side of things.
Hey, Nick, I'm going to sum this up for you.
Oh, God.
Because it's one giant circus.
It is. And you know what the problem is? I mean, the trade market just turned on those guys faster than it's like going on a first date and then finding out that the person you're supposed to be dating is a neo-Nazi halfway through.
Wow. That's all I could say.
Problem. Well, actually, the Yankees were in big talks about potentially having Andrew Benintendi join as they get rid of Joey Gallo soon. But the trade talks between those two sides are now off. I don't think any AL East team, as I just mentioned, is going to touch them because
you got to play Toronto. Like six. The Yankees have to.
They got to play Toronto at least six more times. At least 6 more times in Toronto. 3 of them coming in September. Actually, I think in like the last week of September, when maybe they're neck and neck with the Astros over the 1-2 seeds in the AL.
Yeah, and you need to be able to get to it. You need to have all hands on deck. The Yankees were the only team I remember hearing. They were one of the only teams that actually had 100% of their players vaccinated for this year. They were the only ones that could 100% make the trip up to Toronto.
Correct, which is great. But no, sorry. I was going to say, but also, 1 or 2 was one thing, but 10?
Well, that's what I said last week, that I knew that there are still some players that aren't vaccinated. This is not something that we didn't know. There are still some players that are not vaccinated, and they're not going to be vaccinated because, as Nick would say, they're taking a stand against society, and they're going to vaccine. You're not going to tell me to get a vaccine.
I'm a grown-up. I'm going to do my own research.
Wait a minute. Can we do that joke that Nick and I made, like where we take a vaccine and we start running around and chasing people with it?
Yeah, you chase people with a giant hypodermic needle.
Gonna get you.
Doing your own research on vaccine, it's like saying, I'm going to build a rocket to the moon, and then, you know what? I don't want to spend more than $20. Let's go to Home Depot.
No, it's like spending on a rocket, but you accidentally forgot to make sure the bottom was on, so everyone fell out.
Engines.
That's probably Elon Musk's rocket, but I digress.
Hey, be careful with that. We might lose out. We might get suspended from Twitter next.
Well, speaking of suspension, one ESPN reporter may find himself in a world of trouble. So,
Freddie Freeman's former agent, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with Casey Close, with the whole contract thing that he didn't get. Supposedly, Casey Close allegedly held the final offer so Freddie could end up signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Well, Casey Close is now suing the person behind that story, Doug Gottlieb, over these negotiation claims.
Let me just clarify one thing. Fox Sports, not ESPN.
Oh, Fox, pardon me.
Okay, that's okay. I just want to make sure that ESPN doesn't come flying after us and being like, you slandered us for no reason. Even though I could care less about what ESPN says at this point. But this was nuts. And Nick, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this, but the theory I'm already thinking of that's in your head is you're going to have to do a whole heck of a lot to prove this.
You are going to have to prove it because, again, to prove defamation, you have to prove that he knew it was wrong and published it anyway. Which, how the hell are you going to do that? And what exactly does Doug Gottlieb have to gain by reporting on this? He's doing his job. That's
and
what
also,
journalists do.
And also, Casey Close has to prove he's not a public figure. Fat chance.
Which he kind of is. The fact that we're talking about him on a sports podcast is ample proof that, again, he is a public figure. He has no reasonable, a reasonable.
I think he kind of is in terms of this story. Like, he could be an involuntary public figure, but you could argue just he's a public figure because he is the agent of a major league player.
Well,
he's
a few major league players.
Several major league
players, yeah.
Well, let me give you another example. I would say Casey Close is kind of like Tony Busby in the sense of being accidental public figure. Didn't mean to be, but kind of ended up there by accident. And also,
if you know baseball, though, you know who Casey. You've at least heard of him.
And actually, ironically, Derek Jeter's agent at one point. And by the way,
and Derek Jeter came out and supported him.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, for one thing that people didn't know about the captain, he is a producer on the captain.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So he is a public figure. Case closed. That's it. He's not going to win.
All right, that finally wraps up all the baseball talk. We were supposed to go into the basketball talk, but guess what? Over the last 24, 48 hours-ish, more Deshaun developments.
We will never get away from this story. This story is following us around like a stalker.
So there are several branches we could go with, but let's start with this one. So obviously, we're still waiting on a decision. Josina from Sue Robinson, Josina Anderson, who's been following, who's on the beat for Cleveland, actually has been following this Deshaun story. According to her, it is not expected that this week we get any sort of decision. It's probably going to be closer to next week because July 30th marks the first official day of Browns training camp.
This is just great because now we're going to have more public intoxication of Deshaun Watson having to deal with this and this situation.
I don't know if public intoxication is the word.
No. I feel like I'm publicly intoxed by Deshaun Watson. Okay?
I mean, look, if you're a member of the Browns right now and you're not Deshaun Watson, just practice saying no comment in front of the mirror. Well,
someone should tell Deshaun Watson that because he keeps speaking to the goddamn media.
So,
I mean, does this surprise anybody that he intends to sue?
So let me introduce. So Charles Robinson, senior NFL reporter for Yahoo, says according to a source has told him that if Deshaun Watson gets the full 1-year suspension that the NFL is pushing for, not only is he going to appeal, but he and the NFLPA have already agreed to sue the National Football League in federal court.
Which is to be expected because the players' union really, what players' union would it be if it didn't, protect all of its players, even
why?
Somebody who's as embroiled in controversy as Deshaun is.
Why are you defending this fuck up from anything? I don't understand
this. Players union, it's their job.
Yeah, but you know what? Do you remember what happened with A-Rod and the MLBPA, how the MLBPA finally backed away because he was a menace to society and kept trying to sue Major League Baseball? This is the same thing.
Nick, the evidence isn't holding up. He's not charged criminally. He's already settled with a whole bunch of the women.
It's a different from the A-Rod situation.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Which, of course, doesn't mean he didn't do it.
Correct.
Wait a minute. Let me say something. So, would you consider settling a form of guilt?
I do, definitely.
So then, why aren't they using that as part of the case?
You would think, but again, we're dealing with because Deshaun Watson, they just paid him how much money?
$230 million.
$230 million fully guaranteed.
And they are not going to let Sue. They're not going to let Sue Robinson shake that tree, even though she's absolutely well within her capacity to do so.
Let me say this again, because most people don't realize this, because the agent outsmarted everybody in this situation. How much is the base salary for Deshaun Watson this coming year?
20-something?
No, $1 million.
$1 million.
Oh yeah.
And where did they put the rest of the money?
They might as well have
Bonuses.
It's because you legally cannot touch the bonus money in the NFL.
It's the equivalent of hiding millions of dollars underneath your mattress.
No, you know what? This is what Deshaun Watson's agent did to the NFL. They played the NFL. They played the Browns, and guess what? He most especially played Roger Goodell.
Well, speaking of playing themselves, all right, let's first go to what the report right now is about his potential suspension. So, according to recent reports, the Browns are currently bracing for an 8-game suspension. Mike Florio, your good friend, Mr. Morgeson, over at Pro Football Talk, says 2 to 8 games.
Yeah, because I believe that from.
So it's either 2 games Goodell or a little less than half a season.
Let's put it this way. No one is going to be happy by the suspension that comes out of this from Deshaun Watson. Even if he were to get a year, people are still going to be unhappy. Okay?
Wouldn't you?
Well, of course I would. First of all, I want him to be banned for life, but I know that's not going to happen. I think he should be suspended for at least 3 years.
Well, a note I should have actually made before is that there is currently no decision, and supposedly Sue Robinson is allowing this week to basically try and give the Browns and Deshaun and the NFL one more opportunity to come to a potential settlement for.
All right, can we just admit the fact?
I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm just putting it out there.
No. I was just gonna say, can we just admit the facts? The two sides are never going to agree on anything. Okay, that's just never going to happen. That's like taking oil and water and putting them together.
Well, this little nugget of news about his potential suspension length, that this is just speculation, but this also comes off of a report from Josina Anderson that is potentially very concerning in regards to the league's push for a 1-year suspension. So I'll read the tweet in full from Josina Anderson herself. I'm told as part of its post-hearing brief, which you remember they were supposed to submit a couple of weeks ago, the NFL essentially argued the declaration in its own personal conduct policy that owners, quote, will be subject to more significant discipline, unquote, is an irrelevant point to the Deshaun Watson proceeding at hand.
Which they're arguing against their own policy, which it really does smell like they're trying to cover up the role that the Texans had in facilitating what he did.
Okay, so to reference Nick, it's the last Deshaun one I have. That what Nick is referring to is that 30 women have agreed to settle with the Texans. Remember the New York Times report last month, the Texans were alleged to have basically, they were negligent and they were basically allowing, well, not actively allowing, but...
No, they were allowing the stadium.
Handing out NDAs to the women that he
Correct.
allegedly assaulted.
Wait a minute. It wasn't just the NDAs, it was the stadium also.
Yeah, it was the stadium. It was the stadium
yes.
as well. So at worst, they look like they were looking the other way while this was happening.
This is guilty. This is guilty written all over it. And if the NFL and Sue Robinson, who now makes me think she's the dumbest person in all of judgment, that she's going to let this fall on the wayside of 2 to 8 games, it makes me question the NFL hierarchy as a whole.
Nope. Nick, you guys are going to hate me then. Because guess what? With this, congratulations, NFL, you lose. You lose.
Yeah.
What did we say was going to happen? the NFL's lack of discipline, the lack of taking a stand against all these different against all these different allegations and all these different controversies that the owners have embroiled themselves in, from Jerry Jones to Robert Kraft getting a feel in the massage parlor and participating in what's not funny, sex trafficking.
Well, right.
And going all the way back to 2014 with Ray. Congratulations. Everything has now come back to bite you in the ass. And guess what? If Deshaun doesn't get a year, guys, you're going to hate me for this. Oh, fucking well. You did this.
But that's the insidious thing about these decisions, because you don't think about it at the time. God knows I didn't, but these things set precedent. They do, especially if you're thinking about it from a legal standpoint. And these things, it's going to come back and bite you.
If you want, if you want Deshaun to get the 1-year suspension, Roger Goodell should come out at this very minute and announce Dan Snyder is banned from the National Football.
It's never going to happen.
And
we don't know.
It's never going to happen.
Then guess what, Nick? You're going to have to settle for the shit of Deshaun Watson getting 4 games. I'm sorry.
Again, because
I feel bad, and I don't want anybody to take it wrong. I feel bad for the women, but guess what? That's life.
The NFL really doesn't care about them.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't blame Deshaun, but don't fully blame him. Look at your commissioner.
Well,
Roger Goodell
exactly. Thank you. I was waiting for that.
Well,
but again, who exactly? We know who Roger Goodell is actually protecting. We know who he's actually acting as the bulletproof vest for.
Well, I was going to say, first of all, that's the first point I was going to make. That congratulations, Dick Weeds. The NFL completely played itself. The NFL does not know how to make rules and stand by them. We look at all the other leagues and we make fun of them because, again, MLB and MLBPA can't come together on negotiations, and we almost had a lockout of season. We look at the NBA and all their rules with China and all the issues that they have. We look at the NHL just because of being plain stupid and they can't figure anything out between Canada and the U.S. But we look at the NFL, and every time something legal happens, they cannot figure it out.
It's a race to the bottom between Roger Goodell and Rob Manfred.
I never thought I'd say this, considering I hate hockey.
Gary Bettman is the best commissioner out there now, isn't it?
Oh,
no, I wouldn't go there. But
based on what you've got in front of you, who else do you have?
I would take Adam Silver.
Who do you have?
Okay, Adam Silver.
No, we'll get to that. Hang on. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I think we do have something against Silver. But let's go to basketball anyways. So Knicks and the Jazz, they are in talks over Donovan Mitchell. We did talk last week that Donovan Mitchell, the Jazz themselves were exploring the potential of selling off Donovan Mitchell. Now, of course, that came not long after Mr. Warren Windhorst became a meme. I love it. I love after how he put on that performance on First Take that the Rudy Gobert trade happened, and now Donovan Mitchell may also be on his way out. The Jazz looking like they're going to be blowing it up, and the Knicks may be a potential target. So
wait. Looking like they blew it up? They've already blown it up.
Okay.
I mean, they've at least set the charges. They haven't exactly pulled the plunger on the
No.
And
Nick, they already have. Gobert is traded.
Okay, no, I think what we're saying is once Mitchell gets traded, that the other shoe has dropped. Then,
but what do the Knicks have that the Jazz want? Draft picks.
No, it's not just that. They have RJ Barrett, which if that's the case, I wouldn't make the trade. Mitchell Robinson.
I was just gonna make the thing here that our friend over at Game On, Johnny Montalbano, of course, you can listen to him and Ank and Dictor, 3 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays here on the network. He said he was the one that said, trade draft picks all you want for Mitchell, but don't trade Barrett.
Well, first of all, the Knicks don't know how to handle a draft or draft picks. So
honestly, that's not a big loss.
Can the Jazz really do worse?
Now, here's the thing.
Need I mention Kevin Knox?
Here's the thing. You know those movies where they have the bomb squads and you have the different colored wires and
Yes.
you're trying to determine which one's not going to blow you up in the process. So they already
Yes.
clipped one wire when they traded Rudy Gobert. And then they're in the process where once they trade Donovan Mitchell, they're going to clip the wrong wire and everything's going to blow up in their face.
The smart teams don't sell the farm if they don't have a farm to sell, right?
Well, the Utah Jazz...
Again, this is Carmelo Anthony all over again.
No, it's not.
But they had a good young core that they sold to the Nuggets to get Carmelo Anthony. When he came back, you had nothing.
Well,
you didn't have what you should have.
Well,
you didn't have nothing, but you had less than you started out with.
Well, you had a banged-up Amari Stoudemire who couldn't control his temper. But my point is, Utah is not a free agent destination. Can you agree with me on that? It's not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so the only way Utah can really do anything is through the draft and making trades. Okay, so that Rudy Gobert trade, to this day, my jaw dropped with the amount that returned in that trade. I think more is going to get returned in a Donovan Mitchell trade than a Rudy Gobert trade.
I mean, I think the Knicks, I think Dolan is itching to pull the trigger on this one. I say Dolan because he's actually the one in charge. It's not. It's not. What's his name?
What, Leon Rose?
Leon Rose. It's not actually Leon Rose in charge of things. It's
first of all,
the man behind the curtain is actually Guitar Jimmy Dolan.
First of all, if I'm doing this trade, I would tell James Dolan, stay the fuck away from any trade negotiations I'm making.
Oh,
that's number one.
That ship sailed a long time ago.
If James Dolan gets involved, he'll give up Madison Square Garden in the trade as part of Donovan Mitchell trade.
What's he gonna do? Go to the Nets?
No, it's gonna be Mitchell Square Garden.
It's good. You're right. See, the irony is, I think his father works for the Mets organization, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's a huge Mets fan. So,
but I think he works in the organization for the Mets. So I think he's also from New York. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it makes sense if he ends up in a Knicks uniform. But you're basically trading away everything. You're going to have to start from scratch, essentially, to end up with a star.
Which we end up exactly where we began. Time is circular.
Guys, that's okay.
Same old Knicks.
And by the way, I never thought I was going to say this, but New York basketball is now in the shitter.
Yeah.
Now. Where have you been, man?
No, I'm including both.
I know. All right. Let's have our little gripe with Silver, like we kind of mentioned before. So, the NBA, this little play-in tournament that the NBA has had for a while, well, the NBA might want to make this permanent, and we might get that little in-season tournament in the middle of the season, like you've dreaded, Nick Morrison.
Which I'll put to you, ladies and gentlemen. You ever been to a staff meeting at the office and ever looked around and wondered to yourself, what the fuck am I doing here? This is what the players in the play-in tournament are going to be. It's like, what the fuck even is this? Why am I here?
Guys, just picture it. Just picture it, guys. 27, that's 82 games, right? So 82 minus 27, that's 55. 27 and 55 team could make the playoffs with this in-season tournament.
Oh, the look on his face. You need a cigarette? Maybe that'll help.
Well, my theory of this whole thing is, and Tom almost lost his mind when I told him what I think it is. This is a money grab. This is a money grab so that
I
another.
Didn't lose my mind. I agreed with you.
No. Like you made a face, not lose your mind, but like it was like, ugh. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. It's a money grab so that another network, and when I say network, that could be streaming network, because the world of sports has forgotten that most people watch sporting events on TV and not streaming networks. This is a money grab. This has nothing to do with putting an in-season tournament in. First of all, we don't know what the incentive is for this tournament, first of all.
Well, it was in the rumors before that it might be for a playoff spot.
In the middle of the freaking season?
I mean, which again just leads to the point I made before. It's a race to the bottom.
It is.
Whether it's Adam Silver with the pointless additions. Oh God.
Well, it would be about what, $1 million purse for the winning team.
Oh, I didn't even hear that. I wouldn't know. That reminds me of the basketball tournament, the thing that's on ESPN, which is $1 million straight up, no second place, no third place, the winning team. It's basically street ball, basically. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
No. There's a way to fix this that makes everybody happy. A league-wide NBA Jam tournament.
Oh
Sure.
no! I thought you were gonna say like a NBA death battle or death match.
No. Actually, a league-wide NBA Street tournament.
I like that video game. That was actually a fun game. We could just like randomly do tricks for points.
And it's exactly as important as a league-wide pie eating contest, but you don't see them doing that.
No, better yet, hot dogs. Let's just have another hot dog eating contest in the middle of the season. Whoever can eat the most hot dogs is guaranteed a playoff spot for the NBA.
I was going to say with special guest referee Joey Chestnut.
Exactly. And at the same time, he can take out a protester and make it even funnier.
Or, you know what? Eat 60 hot dogs and then try to make a 3 from downtown.
Oh. All right, let's move on. Ugh. Enough.
All right, so moving on. Guys, let's talk about Russell Westbrook.
It's been a while since we talked about old Russ.
Well, he finds himself in the news for a couple of reasons. First of all, earlier in the week, actually no, this was late last week, he and his agent, Dad Foucher, well, now that's his former agent, they've gone Splitsville due to differences about future. Actually, well, I'm going to try and pull up the full statement from Mr. Foucher, but also LeBron, Westbrook, and Anthony Davis, they were in a phone call reportedly, and they have pledged unity to one another.
Yeah, and the day that they pledge unity is the day that I shit chocolate.
What? What?
I'm serious. I'll say it again if I have to, if you didn't hear it the first time. The day that LeBron, Westbrook, and Davis pledge unity is the day that I shit chocolate.
So you're
they just supposedly pledged unity. Unless you're calling them liars.
They're a bunch of liars.
Look, can you stop chugging the haterade for just 1 second and look at this objectively?
No, because it's totally not true.
Because you'd be nothing without your LeBron haterade.
This has nothing to do with LeBron haterade. This has to do with the...
This is something that was reported on happening.
I have the statement here from Foucher. It says, quote, I represented Russell Westbrook for 14 years and am proud of our partnership, which included a highly successful 2008 draft, a Supermax contract, and the only renegotiation and extended max contract in history. I also supported Russell throughout his rise into a prominent fashion industry figure and recently orchestrated 3 successful trades on Russell's behalf, culminating with his trade to the Lakers. Each time, teams gave up valuable players and assets to acquire Russell. Each time, a new organization embraced his arrival. We did it together with grace and class. Now, with the possibility of a 4th trade in 4 years, the marketplace is telling the Lakers they must add additional value with Russell in any trade scenario. And even then, such a trade may require Russell to immediately move on from its new team via buyout. My belief is that this type of transaction only serves to diminish Russell's value, and his best option is to stay with the Lakers, embrace the starting role, and support that Darvin Ham publicly offered. Russell is a first ballot Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer player and will prove that again before he's retired. Unfortunately, irreconcilable differences, thank you, exist as to his best pathway forward. We are no longer working together. I wish Russell and his family the very best.
Yeah, I could tell you about 90% of that statement was BS, by the way.
So I kind of understand where you're going from, because that statement combined with this story tells me he's probably very secretly wants out of
He wants to be traded. This statement is a lie. Now,
traded to where, though? Who's going to take him?
Well, here's the problem. When you have 48
the thing, address the problem. First, they need to get additional value. Second, how many times we've talked about this? Russell Westbrook's contracts. You talk about Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant's contracts. Hi, Russell Westbrook.
Well, we're talking about $48 million on a player option. At the same time, Russell Westbrook, and actually, let me talk about the Lakers as a whole for a second. The Lakers reportedly came out that they were recording this and said, we're not trading any more picks. So that's it. If they're not willing to trade picks, the trade is not happening.
So LeBron kind of played himself. Is that what you're saying?
No, the Lakers played themselves, not LeBron.
Lakers played themselves.
Now,
maybe if LeBron is the coach, GM, and everything else on that team.
He's the one. He's the grand poobah making all the decisions.
Grand poobah.
wow.
He is. He's the grand poobah. He is.
The one thing I will say is LeBron actually has his grubby little hands on this too, because the way LeBron operates is on a win now basis, not a future basis. Even when he was younger, he was on a win now basis. So LeBron's fingerprints are on this regardless. So I think he was the one who said to trade for Westbrook, which if I could go back and be Rob Pelinka at this point, I would have said, why the fuck did I do that?
He's probably asking himself that question in the mirror. Why the fuck did I do that?
So my point is that LeBron, Westbrook, and Davis pledging unity to one another. LeBron doesn't praise unity to anybody. Okay? No one. He's not loyal to anyone.
Haterade.
No. I'm telling you the truth.
Maybe Kyrie if he wants him back so badly.
Why? If he was so loyal to Kyrie, why did he leave Cleveland? No one has an answer for that.
I don't know why he left Cleveland.
Well, guess what? How about I take your LeBron talk and we have more LeBron talk on top of it?
Great. And this just proves my point, but go ahead.
So LeBron was recently mentioned on his HBO show,
The Shop.
The Shop, and he was asked about Boston, and he said basically that Celtics fans are, well, you can read,
racist as fuck. So I'm not inclined to disagree with him, but
there is one small issue here, which I pointed out to the guys, and I'm going to share it with the public so that they understand what the irony of this statement is. So LeBron has a lot of business investments,
yes.
a lot. But I think what LeBron failed to realize, he owns a percentage and is part of Roush Fenway Group, which owns the Red Sox.
So is he? Taking that in mind, is he trying to encourage them to be more racist? So,
he owns a percentage of the Boston Red Sox.
So he's kind of contributing to the problem just by being part owner of that.
It's like rain on your wedding day.
Which I'm not disagreeing with him. I mean, Boston fan. Need I mention what they did to
Adam Jones?
What they did to Adam Jones a couple of years ago.
I mean,
that was bad. That was really bad.
I could just imagine the horrible things they say to LeBron James.
I mean,
just crossing a line.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Philly fans or Yankee fans when Philadelphia was in the World Series for Cliff Lee's wife.
Yeah, but that's not racism though. That's just being a dick.
My point is, you keep telling me that there's haterade from me. This is just flat out stupid.
Yeah, but there's a difference between haterade and just being a racist asshole.
All right, moving on. Brittany Griner, a little update on her. Basically, her lawyer is saying that she had a doctor's note for her cannabis. Obviously, Griner pled guilty over in Russia. This was in the news last week. Facing 10 years for the charges. Of course, we know about the U.S. efforts or lack thereof to try and get her back. And
so, ladies and gentlemen, this story just keeps getting worse.
It's not going away. Yeah.
Not that it's not going away. It should have at this point. But again, the State Department. But again, the State Department's dragging its feet. I mean, there's not much that Adam Silver is going to do unless you actually plan on putting him on a chopper like Rambo and just dropping him behind enemy lines and breaking her out of a Russian prison. But again, this is on the State Department for dragging their feet, because I really don't think that they think that Brittany Griner really is that important. Because what is it that I keep telling you that they are using her as when we talk about this?
Political football. Yes.
Political football.
Political football. I mean, Here's the deal, and I said this to Nick on Beyond the Bench over the last couple of weeks, that they could have held her for 30 to 40 days, and they could have said, okay, fine. We made the point that you did something wrong, and they just let you go and just say, don't come back to Russia. Okay, that would have been the best way to handle it. But no, we have to hold her for 150 days, and we have to make a whole court case out of it, and now she could be facing 10 years in a Russian prison.
Which, again, the punishment far outstrips the crime here. But again, we're talking about this is the think about what's going on in Eastern Europe, because I can't tell East from West right now because I can't geography either. But again, it's a thing about. I don't think they care enough about Brittany Griner to care, because I have a feeling that if it was LeBron James that was stuck overseas in a Russian prison, they would move heaven and earth to try and get him out.
Well, the whole thing that LeBron said.
Oh my goodness! Not to interrupt, but Giancarlo Stanton just hit a tank 2-run shot to tie the game in the All-Star game.
Okay. I forgot the point I was going to make. Oh, I remember the point I was going to make. So you were talking about how LeBron would be, if he was down in Russia in that prison, they'd get him out quicker. Part of what he said was a little bit stupid.
A little bit stupid. So what he said was, maybe she should not go back to the U.S. once she gets out. And I understand that's coming from a place of frustration, in that it shouldn't take this long for somebody as well known as she is to have gotten out. But again, this is the situation where we find ourselves. But the person to blame here, the people to blame here, is really the WNBA, as I've been saying again and again and again and again and again. Because if she was getting paid more money, she wouldn't even be there.
Okay, my point, and I'm going to say this again. She makes $220,000. She makes more than the average person makes in the U.S. You make her sound like she's in the poorhouse, and that's why she's traveling to Russia. Okay, I get it. I'm not saying that what they're doing is correct. She is political prisoner in Russia. But at the same time, she could have made the conscious decision not to put the cartridges in her bag.
Again, but the punishment has far outstripped the crime at this point. I mean, we're way beyond that.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. Like I said earlier, if they said, let's keep you for 30 to 40 days and then we kicked you out and then just don't come back, that would have been fine. 150 days, though, and the 10-year sentence, that's a little much.
Exactly.
It is what it is. I mean, it'll figure itself out eventually.
Okay, one last thing here. Tiger Woods noticeably got pretty emotional at the Open. Now, he has not full out stated that he is going to be retiring. However, it just seemed very noticeable how everyone was applauding. He was tearful. He was taking a round, like waving to everybody. It seemed like he was taking in the course for like the last time. I'm just gonna say what I've said on this show before. He should have retired after the Masters win in 2019.
It really should have been. It really should have been a Strahan kind of moment where you go out on top, because it's pretty obvious that everything up into that, everything after that was just going to be diminishing returns.
I mean, the way I look at the situation is, first of all, he probably didn't know if he was going to have all these weird problems after dealing with all the issues that he dealt with after winning. He thought he was just going to go back on the way up as soon as he won. So it's hard to determine what was going to happen after he won.
I think maybe he thought he wasn't done.
He probably didn't. He probably thought he could. He probably thought, hey, I can still go.
Well, he thought that was momentum. I won. Now I'm going to win 4 or 5 more. Maybe I have a chance to get to Nicklaus's record.
I just think with his controversies of, beginning from the start of the 2010s, maybe it should have just ended with him going out on top, especially with his struggles to get back on the course in the first place.
I mean, with all the physical and mental tolls that his life has taken, it's a tough spot.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Empty the Bench. Make sure to make sure to subscribe to the channel, Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ETB Sports. Make sure to follow the network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at ETB Network. And you can also follow us on our own social medias. You'll see them scrolling across the bottom there. And yeah, that is basically going to do it for this edition of Empty the Bench.
Which, by the way, is sponsored by Knack Bags.
Of course, can't forget good old Knack. Make sure to go to their website. Use the link in their description. Use the link in the description below. You can get a Knack Sling Bag. Knack makes some very great, high-quality backpacks. Very, very roomy, very stylish. Helps fit your needs. And you can order the Knack Sling Bag and get free shipping. FREE shipping.
Exactly. And who doesn't like free shipping?
So, for Nick Morganson, Nick Federa, I'm Tom Albano, and we'll see you next time on the next edition of Empty the Bench. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody!
Good night.